Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party. And no Rhett this morning because it is Thursday, so my daughter-in-law will be bringing her beasts over. You might actually get to see them. They like first thing they like to do when they get in is jump up on this bed here, so you might see them there. No one ever sleeps in this bed. That bed is for like my German Shepherd, pretty much uses it most of the time. This is like used to be one of the kids' bedrooms, and now it's our spare, like it's my office basically now. Slowly trying to mutate it into an office, but I want to leave sort of like the initial DNA of the room that has sort of the evidence of the children in here. So it's just kind of one of those things where I just sort of want to organically change it. All right, so we're waiting for this. So I have two problems, right, that have presented themselves. The first one is as old as basically probably ever since objects were installed in software development, which like my first experience of objects was probably like in 1997 or something like that. So for this entire millennium, this since 2000, this has been an issue in that I have a structure. Gosh, this is still building. It's so slow. I have a structure, and that structure is dependent on, has different layers of things that have different attributes. And as you go into an attribute, that attribute may be a structure, and then that attribute has attributes, and that attribute might be a structure too, right? Like that's the general idea. And so I'm waiting for this darn thing. I cannot believe how slow it is this morning. Um, so the idea is that there's like this whole structure, and um, here we go. We'll go to data and entities, and then I'm going to add one. And so I have these scenes, and these scenes have meshes. And what I've learned in my other playlist, the simple 3JS, is you really don't want to use meshes. You really want it at this level. You really want a concept called groups, and um, and that groups really needs to live between the scene and the mesh, right? So a scene should have a series of groups, and then a mesh should have a series, and then a group should have a list of meshes. And that's really, so that needs to be, and then like a mesh has a geometry and a material and an animation and things like that. So that's really like how that should work. And this is a problem. And it's a commonly known problem. It's always been known to be a problem that is extraordinarily difficult to actually fix. A lot of times when you run into problems like this, if you're early on, a lot of times you just throw everything you have away and just start all over from scratch with the correct structure because it's very, very difficult. And there is a corresponding three as well, right? So we have meshes. These are the actual three references to the actual three objects. And um, a scene should have a series of meshes and a series. It's children. See, I have children here, and these children of this scene is this mesh up here. But I would rather the child be and it's kind of hard to read. I think I did set it up to where you could look at it that way. That's right. So the scene has, it's interesting. The scene has geometries and material. It really surprises me that the scene doesn't just have yeah, here's a child and it's a mesh. So it has these children. I don't really understand this up here. Maybe the whole, maybe the entire, I guess maybe the entire scene itself is an actual is it actual, has an actual geometry and all that. But it's definitely bigger than 111. So that's definitely not right. I guess they break it up on their side where they have a list of the scenes, materials, and all that. So they've sort of flattened it all out. But anyway, so that is an old, old, old problem, right? And I don't know. I don't know how that's going to play out. I don't know how difficult it is. That's kind of one of the things. Like if you look at all the names of the videos, I'm actually adding 001 because I want to see how long this is going to take, and I want to sort of really digest this slowly. Um, but another problem ha showed itself, and it's sort of one of those problems. Like every time I see it, when I first used to see it, it used to just enrage me. Like I would just get so mad. But now it actually makes me happy because um, like it's sort of this it's sort of like what you should expect when you're doing something. And like that there's certain like you if you like let's say you drove like you got in your car and you drove 400 miles and your car has a range of 400 miles on a tank of gas and then like you're at 500 you're still driving like you'd be like okay something weird is going on here. Well, if you're coding and you code for amount of time and this specific thing doesn't happen to you, something weird's going on. Every few years, you should run into some absolute change. So if you look at this service, this group service, what you see is at Service Decorator in front of this ST group service. Like that's what you see. But if you look at this mesh service, for example, you see this at injectable provided in root and then this class. See, they've changed the way this works. Honestly, like if you really think about it, it seems like the right move. It seems like they made the right move because right now there's really no good way programmatically to tell the difference between a service and a like a service and a component. So like if you look in the components, let's see where are my components. If you look in the components and you look at like let's say app menu, and you go in here, you see it's the same kind of thing. Well, no, because this is app component. Okay. So you could tell a component, but I guess you can't. And see, that's so weird because for some reason, I thought it was at injectable. So maybe you can tell when something is. But anyway, so they've changed this. So my code's going to be in a really awkward state, probably for several years, maybe even till I give up on it. Um, but it's in a very awkward state where it's got some things that say at service and some things that say at injectable. Not only that, but it's very good chance that in a year, in like two more builds or so, that they'll deprecate the at injectable completely. And then next thing you know, you're like, and then a couple more things, and you're like, um, adding it doesn't even work anymore. And then so in my opinion, it's best to sort of embrace these changes. So right now we have this import service. Most very like if there's let's say there's a million Angular developers out there. I mean, I'm just making it. Let's say there's 100 Angular developers out there. I bet you 99 of them have never seen this at service, and this at service is going to be really weird to them. Um, but for me, it also kind of threw me off because I was like, wait a second, why don't I have at service other, did I do something different in my like NG CLI thing? And it was really nice for me to be able to look at my packages where I have my list of previous commands and see, no, this is exactly like the command I ran last time, but now I'm getting a different output. And that is a reality. And that is just a reality that you have got to get comfortable with. So anyways, so at service. Now we have our at service in. So that kind of threw me off a little bit. And now I'm going to look at let's close my interfaces. Yeah, my mesh service is a good one. I didn't think it was a good one, but now, okay, so we know that we're going to have an ST group dictionary. Like that's the very first thing. So let's come over here. That makes sense to me that we would have a group dictionary. Oh, and then it makes sense to me that we will need to go to our mesh dictionary. Wherever we're in our interfaces, we define dictionaries. Um, Not that kind of dictionary. So I don't know where mesh dictionary comes from. So let's come back over here and look. So let's find our mesh dictionary entry. Okay, so interface base dictionary. So if we go to our base, so that's probably something that I'm going to need to refactor at some point. All right, like I can kind of ignore it, it's fine, but the thing is so we have so these are the three dictionaries, but we don't want a three dictionary, we want an ST dictionary. And basically an ST dictionary is going to have its dictionary with an ID and S and a mesh. And I don't think this interface exists either. And that sort of concept is very like hard. Um, like as what's happening right now is very like can be extremely difficult because um, like as you every time you turn another thing shows up. So now this is abstracted away in a what's called a roll-up file. And so as you see in this roll-up file, we have our ST meshes and they come from three mesh ST mesh. So in here, so we're going round and round in circles and okay, so here's our ST mesh. Oh, do I already have an? Oh, I already have my ST group. I just don't um, export it from here. All right. So we want to export our ST group from our rollup, our barrel file. I don't know if it's a barrel or a rollup file. I always get confused. Um, so basically over here, we want to basically emulate this. And like when Angular first came out, like this was definitely considered a absolute, no questions asked, best practice. Now it's like okay to do. Last I checked, it wasn't considered a best practice, but it wasn't considered a bad practice either. It's just really like sometimes you can get some kind of odd feedback loops. All right, so now we have that. So now we want this to be an ST group dictionary, which does not exist. And unfortunately, we lost our base dictionary. All right, so wherever we pull in ST mesh, we want to pull in ST group. I like doing it like this, how I'm doing it right now, because like in the middle, as opposed to like like you might, some people like to just kind of always put their stuff at the beginning, like if they add something new or at the end. I like to kind of do it somewhere in the middle, just because your chances of a Git conflict, like so much of what I do is all about trying to avoid Git conflicts. Um, to me, like Git is just such an interesting challenge. Okay, so now we're adding our group dictionary. See, I couldn't guess that I was going to need to do this, right? Like, I just didn't know what all the different steps were because as we built this out, I would go, oh, now let's go make a interface. Okay, now let's do this and do that. Like, and I didn't like it wasn't really documented or anything. I don't even know of an effective way to document something like that. So now we have a group dictionary. And I want to say, did this come from a roll up as well? So I'm looking for my dictionary. Yeah, mesh dictionary interfaces. Okay, so that comes directly from the interface. I've been a little inconsistent. I just because I'm not 100% sure about the whole concept of um, I don't think we need this index anymore. The whole concept of rollups and I've been using them for 5, 6 years now, and I still haven't decided whether I like them or not. I go back and forth. Mesh deferred dependency classes. I don't know what that was about. I know it was probably to um, because I probably had, yeah, I needed this scene service. So definitely gonna need the scene service. See, I probably won't actually. I'm not gonna need the scene service anymore after this. I don't think the mesh is gonna need the scene service because, yeah, oh my God, yeah, this is as we take more and more steps. I'm starting to realize, oh man, there's more and more little weird or little things that have to be taken care of. So when I delete, I have to delete in order, right? So when we delete a scene, the scene goes and tells the mesh, hey, go ahead and delete yourself. Well, now it's going to be the group. Scene's going to tell the group to go ahead and delete itself, and then the group is going to tell the mesh. And I'm pretty sure that's why I needed this deferred dependency class because I needed to be able to tell the scene whether it was deleted or not, or something like that. Or maybe oh, that's what it was. I need to ask the scene whether the mesh is being used anywhere else or not. Let's see. Now it's going to be, I need to ask the group service whether it needs to be deleted or not. But for now, I don't think there's anything, but we do know I don't know if we're going to need that. I'm pretty sure we're going to need that, but for now, I'm just going to go here. So that's like, I know that's a landmine. I know that's a landmine I'm going to hit and it's going to hurt. But I just don't know what else to do about it. I don't have a big enough grasp of this to actually implement it now. And I can't actually implement it now anyways because we don't have any way of even creating groups. Like we have this huge it's like I feel like we're trying to take a skyscraper and then like say, "Oh, we need a different eighth floor and it's 20 floors high." Now I'm trying to build out a eighth floor in this 20 floor high skyscraper. Oh, the beasts are here. Um, all right, so why does it know? Okay, I was going to say, why can't it find this thing? Okay, and inject comes from here. And I know this is going to grow, so why not just deal with this now? Put it on multiple lines and save. All right, so now we have our recyclable sequence service. So this is the thing that is going to tell us what the ID is. It's going to give us a unique ID. It's also going to give us a way to recycle that ID once we're done with it. Anyways, yeah, so I got to go. Happy coding, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Bye.